After living in Thailand for a while, I decided to change surroundings and experience life in a new country. About 3 weeks before departure, I filled out all the necessary documents online and applied for a regular 30 days tourist visa, which can be extended for another 30 days online without leaving the country. This made crossing the border much easier. In fact, it was the fastest border crossing of my life. I simply walked up, scanned my passport, and the doors opened. I was already in Bali, without needing to interact with anyone. Bali is divided into several regions, each with its own vibe, and the first area we decided to stay in was Canggu, which is surrounded by rice fields. We rented a room in a guest house there for one night, fortunately, as our first choice turned out to be unlucky. Because it was rainy season, the room had a terrible damp smell. On the second day, we found a better option in the same area, also among the rice fields, which cost only 350,000 rupee. We also rented a bike for just 1.5 million per month. About the same amount we paid for a bike while living in Pattaya, Thailand, though the bike there was a bit worse. A deposit was required for the rental, about half of the monthly rental price. And after living in Canggu for 3 days, we realized there wasn't much for us to do, as all the places we wanted to visit were closer to Ubud. Besides, since it's the cultural capital of Bali, I consider it must-stay area for those who come for the first time. So we decided to move there and stay for a month. The first thing that catches my eye in Bali is the roads. They seem like they weren't made for cars. They're very narrow and windy, and in some places cars can barely pass each other. In tourist areas, especially in Canggu, it's difficult to get around even by bike because the roads are so busy with traffic jams, and walking in Canggu is almost impossible. After riding a bike, your face and clothes get covered in dust, especially if you're traveling a long distance. You ended up looking like you've worked in a mine. But when we went a bit further from the busy touristy areas, we found ourselves zipping around on a motorbike through rice terraces and dense jungle, which was so enjoyable. The second thing that really catches your eye is the traditional Balinese architecture. It's everywhere, no matter where you go. It all looks incredibly authentic and atmospheric. The home of the locals are often built in the Balinese style, frequently feature temple-like shrines. And some have ornate entrances, such as gates called ankle, making it hard to tell at first glance whether it's temple or someone's house. Another stunning and one of the most recognizable symbols of Bali can be seen on the road when entering to villages or cities, and temples at important buildings and other places, which called Candi Bentar gates. There is also the smell of incense in the air because several times a day, women in their traditional clothing make offering to good spirits on family shrines or altars, and to evil spirits outside the house, putting baskets with flowers on the ground. It's impossible not to notice as these small offering baskets are scattered all over the so-called sidewalks. All of this makes Bali feel so special and spiritual, especially in Ubud. The third interesting thing that surprised me is that women skillfully carry objects on their heads, even without holding them with their hands. Sometimes the objects are quite heavy. Carrying them even by hand wouldn't be easy. Now about accommodation. Generally, there are two most common types of housing here: private houses and guest houses. The last one is more budget-friendly. A guest house is usually a place with several rental rooms, a shared kitchen, and a swimming pool. We didn't stress too much about finding the perfect place and booked a room in a guest house on Booking. It turned out to be quite clean and cozy with a private small kitchenette, so we decided to stay there for a month. The cost was 7.5 million rupiah, which included electricity, Wi-Fi, regular water, drinking water, and gas. There was also a small shared pool. However, it was a bit far from the center of Ubud if walking, but since we had a scooter, that wasn't a problem for us. What I like about Bali is that you can easily rent a place for a month without any contracts or deposits compared to Thailand, for example, with a monthly price. It's incredibly convenient for short stays. In Ubud, life feels more peaceful and village-like, surrounded by jungle and rice fields, with chickens and variety of bird sounds. To be honest, I found it really hard to make myself to do anything in such an atmosphere. It feels like you're in a giant spa, where all you want to do is chill. Now I understand why people love to come here for meditation, retreats, inspiration and other spiritual practices. The atmosphere is welcoming and incredibly relaxing. In 4 words, I would describe Ubud as spiritual, cultural, green and creative. There are different shops selling their own artistic products. Aesthetic cafes with great views and delicious food, including a variety of healthy and vegan options. Some cafes even look like museums. As a walking lover, what I also like about Ubud is that there are some spots for peaceful walk in nature, through rice terraces or lush greenery, where you can also enjoy the surroundings. But I can't say I relaxed much while walking on the narrow path like this, as who knows who is hiding inside these greens. Sometimes you can even meet these guys on the road. They seem cute, but it works in their favor. When you try to approach them, they take advantage of it and would try to steal something in exchange for food. I try not to mess with those guys. As for the roads in Ubud, I felt like the situation was better than in Canggu. Traffic jams are mostly on the main streets. Once you get out of that area, you can enjoy driving between rice fields and palms. But the weather can be unpredictable, so it's better to have with you raincoat. And also something to cover the seat, otherwise your buns might get baked. Ubud has actually become my favorite area in Bali. Here you really feel the spirit of the island. The next and final place we decided to stay for 3 weeks was Uluwatu. It's just about a 2-hour car ride away, but it feels like a completely different place. That's how diverse Bali is. Compared to the cultural and spiritual atmosphere of Ubud, Uluwatu has more laid-back beach vibe, and surfing is a big part of the local culture. In the morning, the waves are often high, making it the best time for surfers. In the afternoons, the tide goes out, so the water becomes calmer and better for swimming. One beach I really liked was Milasti. The others were a bit dirty during our stay in April. This beach is one of the cleanest, with beautiful blue water. In the morning it was a bit wavy, but it's not really a surfing spot. In the afternoon the waves move farther from the shore, behind the corals. You can even walk out and see what's been hiding underwater. It's worth noting that you have to pay for entrance or parking at most beaches here. Accommodation and food are also a bit more expensive than in Ubud. And to be honest, I found the food in this area less tasty than in Ubud. Still, this is a great area to spend last days in Bali in a more relaxed way. Hope you found something useful. Please hit the like button and see you in the next video.